Well, I've just put a bunch of 16 pennies in this 2x6 car decking, helped to tighten it up a little bit. It's hemlock and it really has spaced apart and twisted up quite a bit. Once you pull up the underlayment, it's an excellent time to tighten up your subflooring, because really a hardwood floor is only as good as its underlayment. Ordinarily in this floor I would use 1/2-inch plywood on top of it. It'd provide a much more solid surface throughout the whole area, and I'd hold it down with 2-inch ring shank nails throughout. The problem with that on this floor is I've got hardwood flooring in other areas of the house, actually in 3 other bedrooms and a bathroom, and I don't want to have a 1/2-inch threshold in each one of the doorways. So I'm going to try to make this as good as I can. 2 things you have to look out for in an underlayment in a subfloor: high and low spots. The low spots you can mark with a pen and later mark them with paper if you're going to cover the floor. The high spots you have to take down with a sander. This is a really bad board here. This is in a real bad spot too, right in front of the hearth, so it's a good 5/16 of an inch below the board next to it. What I want to do is I'm going to mark this now, and I want to have a place so I can come back later and mark the paper on top of it. Or this board is so bad I might even put a 5/16 shim in there. Well, I've got another big hole over here. Actually, it's all the way down to the tongue, so I want to make sure that I mark that one as well. Well, I've got the depressions marked now. Now I have to work on the high spots. And I've got a real good example of that right here in the hearth. I've got a high spot that runs with this board all the way around the hearth. So I'll have to take that down with the edger. Always be absolutely sure you have any visible nails set prior to doing any sanding. If you don't, you'll end up tearing the paper and maybe the equipment. It'll cost you a bundle when you take it back to the rental store. For taking out high spots in the subfloor, there's nothing like using an edger or a spinner like the one you see I'm using here. Of course, a belt sander will work in a pinch, but it's a lot slower than the edger. It's real common to have high spots running around the hearth. If you don't take these out before you lay flooring, you're likely to find you have these projecting through on your border in your finished floor later. My car decking subfloor in my hallway and dining room had a lot of ridges in it that I had to take down, so I elected to use a drum sander. This runs on 220 volts and is 12 inches wide. These might be a little bit difficult to find in a rental yard, but you're sure to find an 8-inch 110 volt variety. Also, if you're planning on sanding your own hardwood floor, you'll find this really useful practice before you start working on the real thing later on. If your subfloor is ridged or heavily cupped like mine was, running diagonal to the grain is sometimes helpful. There's more on how to use both the big machine and the edger in my sanding and finishing tape. Well, I think we've got that subfloor just about as flat as we're going to get it. We've drawn out a diagram here of the area that we're working in to maybe give you a better idea of what we're working with. These lighter areas represent the areas we're going to be putting new flooring into. We're standing just about here. This area right in here is where the refrigerator goes. Remember, we pulled out the underlayment in there. The bathroom and these 3 bedrooms all have existing oak flooring in them. And that's one of the reasons we've been spending a whole lot of time on the subflooring. We want to be able to have the same height in all these doorways. I want to take you down here now in front of the bathroom. I want to show you one more detail with the door jamb that we have to deal with. I'm in the bathroom doorway here now, and this is the line of the existing flooring. I may put another board in here to match the existing header that's in here. But whatever I do, I'm going to have to address the issue of the height of the door jamb to the existing flooring. As you can see, the new flooring is going to be higher than the door trim. So what I'm going to need to do is to cut that off. And without removing it, it can be difficult. I like to use a jam saw. You can see it's very flush on the bottom here. And I can come right up against it using a scrap piece of material and cut it right out. Notice I've got duct tape protecting the existing finish in the bathroom. And I'm using a couple of pieces of scrap flooring here to keep my saw in an even plane. I can fix that chip piece with glue later on. I think I'll finish this out with a chisel. Let's see what the fit looks like. Oh, it looks pretty good. Well, as you can tell, the hand jam saw works quite well. But when you've got a lot of door jambs to cut, we've got 5 in here, plus this cabinet facing here, and a lot of sheetrock we're going to cut out to leave a little extra expansion space, you might want to get an electric jam saw. I've got a cabinet facing here across the hallway. I'll trade places with the cameraman, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, the tool is designed so that it can cut flush. Or, with these wing nut adjustments on the side, it can be adjusted to whatever height you like. In our case, 3/4 of an inch. The fence here is also adjustable, so you can adjust to whatever depth of cut that you like. Now, although this is a very useful and helpful tool, it is also a very dangerous one. You can see there's not very much of a guard here. And there's a lot of torque to the machine, so you want to make sure you have both hands tight on it before you start using it. An electric jam saw can really come in handy if you've got a lot of trim to cut, particularly if that trim happens to be metal. At our house, it was especially helpful because we wanted to undercut the sheetrock to give our flooring an extra 5/8 inches of expansion space.